Greetings, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. You are now tuned into the vault. Just want to thank you for listening live or listening in a replay. Today's episode is going to be about the ESBI, the Cashflow Quadrant chart. Just really wanted to do this episode because I know when I was 18 years old, it was something that made a major impact in my life. This is one of the first financial books I ever read. Um, Big shout out to and praise and thank you. Thank you, Jornatia, for tuning in live. Big praise to Robert Kiyosaki and what he's brought into my life, and great mentor. And I look forward to furthering that relationship. So, always a pleasure. Thank you, Trey Stone, for tuning in live. I wanted to comment on this because I have a great perspective on this. I've been in every category. I've been in the E. I was an employee since when I was 14 years old, and up until 18 years old, and I worked and had odds and ends jobs and doing things that I felt was I enjoyed and I was purposeful. But the reason why I want to do this episode once again is for like younger ladies and gentlemen that are going into the workforce. This is something you're never going to learn in school. And that's the facts. Why isn't this education taught to you in school? All they tell you is that the one way of making money. These are the four ways to make money. And I just wanted to comment on them because I have a great perspective on it. So I've been in every category. So, was an employee. It's not really much there. It's no control. You get told when you have to go in. You get told when you can go to lunch. You get told when you can go home. You get told how many vacation days. You get told when you can retire. You know, the statistics are obnoxious with this lifestyle. Um, they always talk about income diversification. This is something that's very essential that you're supposed to have. So let's go into the self-employed category, which is still on the same side as the E, which is trading time for money. I work with a lot of self-employed individuals. People that are Uber drivers are self-employed. People think, oh, I'm a Uber driver. I work for Uber. No, you don't work for Uber. You work for yourself. As self-employed. You might consider those people sole proprietors. That's what S's are. S's are sole proprietors. And these are people trading time for money. And it's all solely dependent upon them. That's why they call themselves sole proprietors. These are people that go out and try to say that they have a LLC, but their entity is still classified as a sole proprietor because they haven't learned how to set it up as an actual corporation, which I'm gonna get to. What makes a corporation a corporation is that it hires people, whereas most people they become self-employed. Um, and they don't understand that that's how most businesses start. Most businesses are started from being self-employed. That's just the bottom line. And it's a limited amount of time that you have as an entrepreneur because you're always doing everything on your own. These are people that are specialists. They're experts at what they do. So I think that this is a category that people might want to focus on, once again transitioning from. And then we move to the opposite side of the chart. And the opposite side of the chart, you have your B and your I, and at the top you have your B. This is what we focus on trustee training, is the B and the I. We focus on creating systems, A, and we focus on having money work for quote unquote us, or the trust in general as a trustee. See, as a trustee, you work for the trust, which is a entity. That means it's a system, okay? And in turn, you're supposed to know as a fiduciary how to make the money grow. So that means you have to have education. That means you have to know how to grow assets. That means you need to know risk management. That means you need to know business and many other things. So with the B, on the B side, what I did was creating a system of trustee training. In turn, we found other ways to diversify and grow the actual company where other people are growing the company. Recruiting is essential. I see a lot of people that are network marketers. A lot of people think that they're big business owners, but they're not big business owners. Why? Because most network marketers are more focused on themselves than they are focused on actually educating and teaching other individuals how to do what is it that they do. That's a fact. It's all about the hero. It's never about the team. If it's about the team, that means we're all eating. And I see, and so I think most network marketers are just self-employed. They have people under them, but they don't understand the concept. The concept is when you help enough people get what they want, you'll automatically have what you want. That is the principle that I learned. That is why I am successful. Is because I made it a point to help other people around me and build teams. It wasn't always about me getting the largest share. There were times where I would rather have just taken 2% and everybody else take 98%, because I know that that's a guaranteed source of income. But the average individual can't think like that. So one of the quotes that you live by on the IMB side are, I'd rather have 1% of 100 people's efforts than 100% of my own. The average individual is so focused on me, my, that they'll never get past themselves. So I encourage you all to think about, when people say, oh, that's the problem with self-employed people, is they're really not business owners. They're not business people. They're specialists. But when you're an entrepreneur, when you say you're an entrepreneur, that means you create jobs. When you're a business owner, that means you're supposed to create jobs. At the vault, we hire people. We contract people to do work. It's a business. I hear people always talk about that famous silly line that Jay-Z said. If I ever meet Jay-Z, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He says, I'm not the businessman. I'm a businessman. I don't care what he says. I will have to tell Jay to his face, that was a stupid line. It was stupid. First of all, you're not supposed to be the business. Anything you own, you can be taxed and it can be taken from you. That was a poor person's terminology. And guess what? We evolve as business people. So you're allowed to say something that's ignorant at one point. I'm sure I said something ignorant in business at one point too. But that was an ignorant statement to say. You don't want to be the businessman. You want to develop the business, man. But the average individual can't grasp that concept. The people that's listening to his music are probably employees. You don't want to be the business. Because if something happens to you, what happens to the business, man? You're supposed to develop business systems. You're supposed to help people around you eat. Y'all already know the situation with Jay-Z and Dame Dash. That was built off of building a system. There was a system that was in place. There were people eating together. There were people making money together. That's a system. And what happened when people didn't honor the system? It fell apart. Because somebody had to be bigger than the system. That's why I say most network marketers don't know how to build a business. They know how to be self-employed. They know how to talk a good game. They know how to sell, but they don't know how to teach other people how to sell. Most of them don't. So, we get into, well, ultimately, this is the only thing we should be doing as Americans, is making money off of the money that's being made, that's already been made. Period. So, this is what everybody needs to do. See, a lot of people say, oh, you need to get a savings account. I was looking online. I think I still have that window pulled up. I don't think I do. Yeah, here it is. So, savings accounts in America right now. Savings accounts are yielding 1.5% a year. A 1-year CD, 2%. A 5-year CD, 2.5. Some of these CDs, what do you have to put in here? $500? What is this? A CD from Capital One? 1.3%, $10,000. What is 1% of $10,000? What's 1% of $25,000? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're dealing with accounts that are paying you less than, I mean, come on, this is embarrassing that the United States, think about it. United States does not encourage savers. They encourage borrowers. We live in a debtor society. It's all about building up your credit so you can go get a loan. It's about being in debt. So you have to learn, once again, from this cash flow quadrant, how to actually use debt to make money. And guess what? Federal Reserve notes are debt. So you're supposed to be learning how to take money and make money with the money that you made. But they didn't teach that in public school. Why? Because that's not a public education. That's a private education. It's about private education. It's not about public education. The average individual doesn't have a private education. This is what we provide at the Vault. It's a business system. It's an educational system. Do you hear the key word system? Just like a public school education is a public school system. Same thing with the private education. You can't get around it. It's a private education. So when you come into the private education, you make it a point to get into permanent industries. See, everybody wants to work a job, but people don't know what are the permanent industries. I can tell you what the permanent industry are. Permanent industries are charity. Permanent industries are investments. Permanent industries are loans. That's what permanent industries are. How many people, how long are people going to need loans? Forever. How long are people going to need investments? Forever. How long are people going to need charity? Forever. See, I told you all, we get into 500-year-old investments in the private with the Vault. Trustee training. So when you're in the I, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep. That's what it's about. It's about being an investor. A lot of people say, oh man, I'm saving. A lot of people don't even say they're saving. A lot of people say, oh, go own your business. But do you see that Robert Kiyosaki, a wealthy individual, came up with this concept, ESBI? That means that there's a clear distinction between an investor and a business owner. Even if the business system is left alone, there's still an investment that's yielding cash flow. Because you have to know about a thing called fractional reserve banking. That's why banks are able to loan out money. Banks don't have no money unless you give them money. That's called fractional reserve banking. That's called hypothecation. See, when you come into what's considered a B and I education system, a private education system, you learn financial terms. You learn what bonds are. You learn what securities are. You learn what property is. Real property and real estate, two different things. See, the average individual doesn't know that. So I just really want to do this episode to kind of talk about that tonight. I encourage you all to ask any questions as we are live. But I know that this is something that really made a major impact on my life when it comes to business. More and more as a trustee, just continuously developing the assets in the trust. The whole purpose is to grow the assets as an investor. And consider and make it happen to where the trustee is just once again just being a portfolio manager as an asset manager, because that's all you are in the first place, and that requires a high level of financial education. And I can promise you, you're not going to get that just from having a degree from college, because everybody from college that has a degree in business isn't rich. I got friends that got jobs and they got MBAs. What difference does it make? In student loans and don't know anything about a trust. So it's not about just the education that you get. It's about the particular education that you get. And wealthy people they have a particular education. It's a private education. It's an education that's not privy to the public. Why? I'll share with you all. So in the I category, you have to make a certain amount of money to even be privy to certain financial information. Security Exchange Commission says that you have to make a certain amount of money to even know certain financial information. It's sort of like why they have the FDIC insurance in place. You all know that you can actually inquire about private banks that are not insured by FDIC that can give you riskier returns on your money. So instead of you going to put your money in a CD, you can go to a bank that is giving out higher yields, but they're not insured by the FDIC because they're not trying to comply with the security exchange laws. They're not trying to comply with the insurance policies that the public provides for their clients. It's at your risk type disclosure. So some of those accounts that you can't get into traditionally if you don't make a certain amount of money is called private placement accounts. See, this is how I know that the average individual doesn't know what is it that we talk about here at the Vault, and what we present is very unique, because everybody walks around and tells you all these different type of accounts. At the Vault, we tell you what? We tell you that you need to get your money up so you can get into private placement accounts where the bank comes to you because you're considered an institutional investor. When you go do your research on an accredited or an institutional investor, the bank comes to you and they invest your money and they give you back the percentage that you tell them that they get to keep. Because the bank has no money once again. But when you make a certain amount of money, you get to know about those accounts. When you don't, you never know about them. Private placement accounts, what do you mean? That's the loan industry. You know how many people need business loans? When you think you're getting a business loan from the bank, you're getting a private placement memorandum placed on your business. Somebody takes out a private placement and they allow private investors to invest in that. That's what happens. The average individual doesn't even know that. They don't even know about institutions, asking for regular people's money. They don't know about that. But that's what we know because we have a private education. Because that's what happens when you have a certain amount of money. And that's the I. The focus should be on the I. Having your money make money for you. Or having the trust funds work for you. It's that simple. Peace, Roger, for tuning in live. Peace, Andre, for tuning in live. Roger says, what is the best source for private education? Is it all based on assets and legal entities? I think I posted on my page earlier. In the private education, the first thing you have to learn is it's all business. It's never personal. So you get a sound education in commercial law. You get a sound education in trust law. You get a sound education in tax law. You get a sound education in what's the other one? I don't know the other one right now, but it's four major educations that you get as a trustee and trusteeship. Because you have to separate your business wealth from your personal wealth. It's not just about assets and legal entities, it's about relationships. It's about integrity. The public doesn't have integrity. You know how many people contact the vault and get a consultation and they don't file bankruptcy? Do you know you can move mountains with your mind, so you can make money if you need to make money to pay a debt. But people take the easy way out. Nah, not maritime law. Maritime law of the seas, it still deals with contracts, but for the most part, Roger, it's nah. I mean, that's something that we encourage you to learn. Maritime deals with commercial law, so you do a lot of research in commercial law as you study contract law, because those deal with torts. You'll deal with your maritime law when it comes to more like the insurance policies, because that's what this country is based off. This country is based off of insurance. It's based off the Lloyd's of London. See, the average individual walking down the street can't tell you that, because they got a public education. It's about having a private education. The best source of getting a private education is getting into a private community. That's why they call it private. It's not public. It's not somewhere where you're going to go to the public law library and just get information. We go to the public law library, I'm going to just sit here and say, okay, well, this is what a public trust looks like. So when you see what private trust contracts look like, you can see, oh, wow, there's a clear difference. And you can also see just what contracts look like in the public in case you ever have to do business in the public. You can see what good quality, sound trust contracts are. See, a lot of y'all listen to this podcast and y'all say, man, I'm trying to learn how to do a trust. And y'all think y'all going to get around trying to come to the vault and get a private trust contract. Y'all think y'all going to get around that. But if y'all was smart, all you would do is go to the public law library and go look at a public trust contract. And then you would just take out all the public statutes that are in it, and then you might have a halfway decent private contract. That's a jewel, but it's not really a jewel, because I promise you, I can tell you right now, I've been trained by the best in what is it that we do. Our trustees are trained by the best. There's things in our trust contract that are proprietary. We deal with proprietary information. We're all about protecting intellectual property at the vault. That's why it's called the vault. So, I know individuals think that, they want to get around. People come to the vault all the time. Oh, I got my 9A number. Or, oh, I have my EIN number. They don't even have a contract set up in place yet. That's just not even appropriate in business. I don't even know why people think they could say that to the vault in the consultation. Like, oh, I got an EIN number, but I don't have a contract in place. That's not how you're supposed to operate. The contract comes before the number. Think about it. You were born, you had a birth certificate, and then your family applied for a social security number. Then you got the number. You didn't get the number before you were born. So how are you going to give the business a number before it has a contract? It doesn't work that way. That's bad business. But people don't want to, they trying, they doing whatever they want to do. because they never been given a sound business education because they got a public school education. So, like I'll drop the jewel on you again. You go to the public law library. I know it takes some time. You might have to go to a courthouse if it's a courthouse, or go down somewhere. Take some time out of your schedule. You know, and you're gonna go there and you're gonna go look at the contract section, or you're gonna go look at the trust section, and you're gonna go read how they have trust contracts. All you gotta do is ask the law library, I'm looking for trust contracts, and they'll literally have a book with templates for trust contracts. Now, once again, they will be traditionally catered towards public trust contracts. But I mean, like I said, you just gotta take out state regulations, and then you gotta know how to read. I have a sound education. I put in the time in the law library. I love the law library, so that's an advantage that I have. But I share with you, or at least go to the law library, so you can put in that work and understand, like, this is what I'm going to be dealing with. I'm going to be dealing with contracts, and I'm going to be dealing with trust. Kashmir Hermes says, trust business credit, like getting an Amex Black Card. That, I don't even know if that makes any sense. Can a trust get a business credit? First of all, trust is a legal entity. It can buy, sell, and hold property. So yes, it can build credit. It's a legal person. That's it, period. Can it get a Black Card? Sure. Does it need an Amex? Sure. Can it get a Capital One credit card? Sure. Can it get any type of credit on it? Sure. But when you understand the trust lifestyle, when you understand the way that we operate, our credit cards, okay, yeah, but we're talking about maintaining privacy. And I understand that a lot of people don't understand a lot of what I talk about because it comes from a specific capacity, but you gotta get in the training. Like, we used to have workshops with my private mentors. So it wasn't one of those things I just like found, like I just guest worked it. I didn't guest work it. I would call them all the time. I still to this day call them. That's what it's called, investing in your education. I put in the miles. I flew across the country. I didn't know them. So when people say, oh, do you just fly across the country and you don't know people? How am I going to invest in your training? I don't know who you are. Okay, don't. It's not for everybody. Do you see the 1% begging people to be in the 1%? No. They're not going to beg you to get in it. They're going to give you the offering and they're going to keep it moving. Because you're not, you want to know why? Because wealthy people have understood and learned how to separate their business wealth from their personal wealth. They know that if you ever did business with us at the vault, it would never affect our family standard of living. I used to call this charity, but I stopped calling it charity because people think you're supposed to do things for free. But this is something that I love to do. I love to share because I understand that this is the time that we're in. We're in a sharing time. It's time to share. That's why people share their houses for Airbnb. That's why people share their cars for Uber. We're in a sharing society right now. People share things in the cloud. It's a sharing society. It's not a selfish society anymore. Anybody that's selfish in business, they won't be in business in 20 years. That's a fact. But the people that understand how to enable and empower other individuals, once again, that's the B side. Not the S side, because the S side is focused on being a plumber. The S side is focused on being an Uber driver. The S side is focused on trying to do sales by themselves. So it's focused on building a team. It's focused on making the money work for you. Thanks, Roger. So I don't know. I think this is Jilla Miller. I think that's what it is. Jilla Miller. You can inquire with the trustee training at Christian@trustchristian.com. Christian@trustchristian.com. So I'll put that in the chat here in a second. But any other questions, I encourage them. But like I say, I just, it's already it's in a new year, and I'm excited. I'm not going to sit here and go over trust every single week or month or anything like that anymore. I think that I have enough content out for you all to benefit from that content for the trust, for the foundation, for trustee training. I think it's more of time to get into more of a mindset capacity. I think a lot of people need to develop the mindset. Even when the individual asked about the trust credit card, that's cool. Some trusts do have trust credit cards. Nothing wrong with that. But I just think that there's a mindset that comes with trusteeship. It's a fiduciary mindset. It's a money management mindset. And as we grow our trusteeship program, It is something that, I will continuously share with you all, the mindset of a trustee, because that's what it's all about. It's a lifestyle of a trustee, or a mindset of a trustee. So thank you, Cobatone Bay. And Jordan Tia says, how do you define privacy? That's a great question. I appreciate it. And that's why I'll come on here every Tuesday, is to get great questions like that. So privacy means without the government. That's it. With the government means public. Without the government means private. So that's privacy. Anything that the government doesn't have his hand on or has his claws on. See, I understand. I have a specific education. I don't know. I see this all the time. Even when I was listening to Robert the other day, and he was talking about, a lot of people have this weird mindset towards the government. But if you understand who you are the government. You're the people. It's just sad that people think that they've elected some official, keyword elected, and they put them in some office, and these people are sitting there they think that they're lords over them. They're not. They're servants. But the average individual can't comprehend that anymore, because they want them to do something for them, because they put themselves in the position of a welfare person. That's why they got social security numbers, so they can receive benefits. But when you understand that those people are civil servants, all they did was turn a civil servant position into a career. But they don't have any control over your life. You don't have to participate in Social Security. I don't participate in Social Security. There is no security in the Social Security. It's none. So, I wouldn't say, and to make a comment on this other individual that says self-governance is privacy, you can self-govern yourself in the public. That's what you're supposed to be doing at all times, public or privately. So once again, privacy, simple and plain, means without government. That's it, period. Public means with the government. See, I understand that I can keep things simple. It's called KISS. Y'all know the saying. Keep it simple, But a lot of people don't want to keep it simple. A lot of people want to be vigilantes. A lot of people think that they're going to get around having the government have a place. The government has a place. It does have a place. It needs to be here. It's here to help people and protect people from their own ignorance. Because the average individual is not going to go out and make it a point to invest in their private education. So the government, rich people, say, you know what? We're not even gonna. We're gonna protect them. We're gonna put a law in place that says if you have less than $250,000 in a bank account, the government will replace the money somewhere, somehow, at one point. Now, once again, rich people put that law in place. You will never see a rich person give a poor person money. That is stupid. Rich people don't give poor people money. Middle class people give poor people money. Rich people are capitalists. They know that they are better off with the money in their hands, that's why they're rich, than give it to people that don't know what to do with it. So what makes you think they don't even have a time frame on when you're going to get the money from the FDIC? But no one wants to read that. They just want to quote, oh, you're going to get protected for $250,000. They never tell you when you actually supposed to get the money back. They don't tell you that. So it's just that simple. Individuals have to understand how to invest in themselves. That was something that I wanted to say. That's why I really wanted to do this episode about investing in your education. And it's a lifestyle, people. See, the public school system program made you think that there's summer breaks in life. I had to tell this person that the other day. They think it's summer breaks in life. They always ask me, like, when you take a break. I'm like, I take breaks whenever I feel like it. But I'm not, like, there's no breaks in life, ladies and gentlemen. There's no breaks. So this individual said, they're going to school, so they got to go to school for some college, and they're taking a break for summer break and all that other stuff. When you invest, when you start learning investments, there are no breaks in investments. You just keep investing. You keep investing in your education. You keep investing in your health. You keep investing in your family. You keep investing in your relationships. You got to dig deep. You become a pure investor. You don't even think about trying to get a handout anymore as an employee. You don't think about trying to get a tax break as a self-employed individual. You don't even think about some tax break as a big business person. It's not that. You think about investing all the time. Your mind should be consumed with investing in yourself and other people, because that's where you get an ROI. That's where you get a return on what? Investment. You don't get a return on sitting down and waiting for a handout. Someone said, "Are you talking private banker?" I don't know what does that mean? Being a private banker. I mean, you have to give me a little bit of reference into what you're talking about, Jilla. Um, just past a place called Trustmark. Okay, thanks for letting me know that. So, if we have any other questions, I do appreciate the questions, but I need a lot more detail. If you guys are gonna ask a question that requires an answer, but I definitely do appreciate the interaction tonight, or today, wherever you are in the world. But once again, just really wanted to do an episode about this because I have the investor mindset. I've always been an investor, you know, and I was always willing to invest in my private education. I was always willing to bet my last on whatever it is. Um, Secure party creditor process. I didn't bring that up. No, I'm not. So, uh, I just wanted to share that with you all about being an investor, and I understand that I'm extreme. I'll bet on myself. I'll bet my last and all of that. And I've taken losses, before in life, but I think that I don't take losses. I take lessons, and those lessons have really propelled me to say I'm never gonna make that same mistake ever again. Kashmir, great question. I appreciate it. Individual says, "What is the hardest part of being a trustee?" Um, the hardest, I think, and it's not necessarily hard because I don't really gauge things whether things are hard or easy. I'm not really into the whole hard or easy, but I'll say what's one of the biggest transitions for a public person to being a private trustee is understanding that you don't own anything, that you're not doing anything on your behalf. This style of lifestyle is best for people that have maybe children or people that are really like other oriented, like they care about other people, so they want to help other people, they want to take care of other people, because it takes because if you understand the principles and the laws of nature, when you give, you're actually receiving. You can't give something that you don't have. So as a trustee, when you're investing in the trust as in knowledge base, when you're investing in the trust as and growing the actual trust, when you understand the trust can take care of you because it's a legal person. So it can take care of your meals, it can take care of the clothing, it can take care of the vehicle, it can take care of housing. Why? Because the trust is a legal person. It's like taking care of an old person, but they giving you money. So it's a mindset of understanding that as an investor, you're growing the assets, not for you, because if you're doing it for you, then you're going to incur a liability. Possibly you can be sued, or you can be sued, or you can be taxed on that, on the return on investment. So I think that's one of the biggest things is, and it's not really hard. Because I can tell you already now, there's a lot of people that enroll in trustee training, and literally they enroll in trustee training, and the people that come in with the super giddy, super excited mindset, they end up doing better than the people that are like, "Oh, I know about this secure party stuff. Oh, I've been on the power movement, and all, I've been learning about trust." I never said that to my mentors, even though I was learning about trust. I played the stupid role. I don't know anything. Tell me what you know. Tell me everything you know from your perspective. You've been doing this for 30 years. Tell me what you know. That's where I was at with it. That's where I've been at with it. Still to this day, they don't know much that I know. They really don't. They just know, they know what they know, and I want to know what they know. I want to know about international business, international trusteeship. So I don't talk about my little and it's not little, but I don't talk about my domestic trust knowledge base. I look to them for their international trust knowledge base, because that's the level that we're moving to. That's where we're at. We're not on just domestic trust knowledge base. Everybody tries to say, "Oh, I got a foreign trust," or "Oh, I have international trust." Well, we have those entities, but do you have a bank account in Luxembourg? Do you have a bank account in Switzerland? Do you have a bank account in Geneva? Do you know how to do business in Singapore? This is what we're talking about at the vault. and private trustee training. It's international asset allocation in foreign jurisdictions that are truly going to grow your family wealth. It's about family wealth. It's not about personally trying to get a paycheck to live paycheck to paycheck. So that's the hardest transition. I hear people say, oh, you know, the average individual, they live with this paycheck to paycheck mentality. Well, yeah, you're probably going to fail if you come to this side of the table. It's going to be a lot of weightlifting for you mentally. You're going to have to lift weights. You're going to have to struggle for a little bit. But, I mean, your brain is a muscle, so you can get stronger. It is for those individuals that want to persist and be consistent at growing themselves. That's definitely, I'll say. So, you know, that was a great question. I really appreciate that question, Kashmir. So, Andre, thanks for tuning in live. He says, any known banks that acclimate with opening trust account having issues? Fargo citizens. I don't know what you're asking me directly, Andre. Appreciate Sean for tuning in live. Could you be a little bit more descriptive in your question, Andre? I don't mind answering it. It's just any known banks that acclimated with opening trust accounts having issues with Wells Fargo. Are you having issues, or what's going on? Having issues, like, we want to speak proper grammar here at the vault, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I know a lot of you all sent emails. I don't want to be, you know, any type of way, but we have our team and they look at emails and it's just like, we're adults here. Like, you actually need to do spell check before you send in an email. Seriously. Like, I'm being very direct with you all, because if you say you want to be a trustee, that's the hardest thing. Somebody says, what's the hardest part about being a trustee? It's called actually looking over your work before you send it in. This is not school. This is real life. This is once you sign something, you are saying that you've read it and you take responsibility for what you read. That's the reality of life. Some people try to avoid it, but that's the reality of life. So, Andre, I don't mind answering the question, but I think that you need to be a little bit more descriptive in having issues with Wells Fargo and Citizens. Like, I don't know what that means. So, how long will you say is the process to truly understand trusteeship? Great question. So, and you know what's funny is sitting around your mentors, they'll truly bless you with some of the things that, I mean, like I say, we eat, sleep, live, and play trusteeship. You never fully understand trusteeship. If you start dealing with a trust in your particular jurisdiction, what happens when you want to go international? You got to learn a new level of trusteeship. There's base principles and a foundation in trusteeship, but when we say trust law, when you think about the law, that's why they say they're practicing law, because you never truly perfect it. It's something that you continuously make it a point to learn and grow in your studies. So you're always learning trusteeship. You wouldn't truly learn something until you perfected it. And guess what? You're not going to perfect it until you're done. Until you said, okay, this was the mission. This is it. I'm done. So it's never really a true understanding, because the trust, there are, like in private trust, it's really not much to learn. But when you start dealing in different jurisdictions, you definitely want to make sure that you're maneuvering those jurisdictions and maintaining the privacy of the entity as a trustee and doing all of that good stuff. So trusteeship is definitely something that you never really truly have a full grasp on. Like, I study every day. How is someone going to come to the vault or come to our trustee team and say, oh, you know, well, you've been doing this for years now. You got it. My mentors have been doing it for 30 years. What does that mean? They still study. They still are hitting the books. They still go to a law library. They still read case law. They read cases and say, oh man, I forgot about that case. I read that case 20 years ago, but I went back and read it and I forgot about it. So you never truly understand it. It's a practice. It's something that you learn over a period of time. So I encourage you to understand that it's more of a lifestyle than for somebody to sit here and say, oh, you know, you're going to truly understand trusteeship. See, that's the school mentality. You think you're going to take a break on trusteeship. You can't take no breaks on trusteeship. Trusteeship is a lifestyle, just like being an employee is a lifestyle. You file some W-2s, you get a job, you get a paycheck. It happens every year. You get your 2 weeks off, you get your weekend off, you watch football on Sundays. That's the job mentality. Trusteeship is forever. Trusteeship is every day. Once again, someone said, what's the hardest thing about trusteeship? The hardest thing about trusteeship is literally realizing that you don't own you anymore. You work for the trust, and the trust contract, it might say, hey, this person, you might be on call 24/7. So what you gonna do when you get the phone call on behalf of the trust? You're not gonna pick it up. That's your job. You're the trustee. You're there to grow the assets and protect the assets. Something might be happening at 2 o'clock in the morning. You got to pick up the phone. You got to protect the assets. Everybody's not made for that life. I was talking to one of my mentors recently, and he was like, talking about the own nothing, control everything mindset. And he was talking about everybody doesn't have the discipline to have that mindset, is to own nothing, control everything. They don't have that. They don't have the discipline that's required to do that. I said, wow, that's really interesting. I thought that's, see, to me, when you come into the vault, you'll understand that we have a programming in place. Everything you do is based off of a program. You drive to work, you go the same way. You eat with the same hand. You brush your teeth with the same hand. You've been programmed to do that. That's why they call it a television program. You've been programmed. Everything's about having a quality program. And the way that you replace programs is not crying about the program. When people say, oh, I want to get new habits for this year, I can tell you the easiest way to get rid of an old habit is to create a new one. Not to try to get rid of an old one, just create a new one. You have to create new habits. So that's why tuning in and putting in as much good content will replace the bad content. That's it. That's how easy it is to change habits in your life. It's to get new habits. It's that simple. But the average individual, they think, man, I gotta stop doing bad stuff. I gotta stop doing bad stuff. No, you don't stop eating bad food. You eat good food. You replace it. You don't stop not working out. You just go work out. That's it. You got to replace those habits. Citizens Bank is asking, this is Andre Ward's question. I mean, Andre Wood, excuse me, Andre. Andre asked about bank account to open them up. He said, Citizens Bank is asking for an operating agreement and other personal documents. All right, well, let's just go ahead and stop in that sentence. Personal documents means it's not business. So maybe you want to correct them on what they're specifically asking for. If you're operating through a trust, you might want to know, you all, ladies and gentlemen, there's over 80 different types of trust. Over 80 different types of trust. Like I said, we have a specific education here stating that they need that info to open up the bank account. What is the standard documents to supply to keep the trust information private? So I'm not going to share our proprietary process over the air here, but I'll share one thing with you, is that that's a case-by-case basis, Andre, because we have had trustees try to open up bank accounts, and keyword is try, because they didn't do it, and that was with Chase Bank, because Chase Bank's a little evasive. It asks for a lot of information, but Wells Fargo is actually a really good bank, and we've never had any issues with Wells. I don't know about Citizens. Great relationships with Wells, great relationships with US Bank, great relationships with Fifth Third Bank. We've had some great relationships, but we do our best to, you know, try to steer the trustees in the proper direction with that and stuff like that. You know, you want to kind of be consistent across the board going into banks, not dealing with small teleline banks. You want to deal with banks that are actually geared towards more commercial entities such as a trust and things of that nature. You know, sometimes you got to go to the private wealth banks. A lot of people don't even know about that. A lot of banks have a private wealth bank that you can go to. They're going to tell you that you need a certain amount of money, but you got to know certain things. And so if you go into the bank and just ask you want to go and specifically talk to the individual that opens it up. But like I say here, Andre, we're talking about private trust, man. You can't go into a public institution and ask them well, what do you need for me to keep my privacy? So it's the same thing with what we're talking about. You have to be specifically educated on what is that we're talking about when we talk about private trust. That's it. Bottom line, you got to invest in your private education so you can really know what is it that you're talking about and really what you're looking to execute. Like I say, a lot of y'all are going to try to subvert the system because that's what people do. They're trying to shortcut the shortcut. And I gave y'all a jewel where you can go to the public law library and get a decent trust account. I mean, excuse me, a decent trust contract. But I mean, what good is that going to do you? See, I'm going to tell you why you can't subvert the system, because it's a system, and the system means it's more than people that see. The system is the B. That's the education system. And the I is where the money is generated. That's the wealth. It's wealth because you can never make more money than the money can make for you. So it's all about the system. And the system has more than one person in it. That's what separates the B from the I, is the B has more than one person in it. So that's why trustee training, that's why the vault in the community is so powerful, because it's more than one person. It's because you learn from other people's mistakes. It's because you learn from the community. Just like you got a public school system and a public community, there's a private community. And this information that we're talking about, the private information disseminated privately in the private community. It's not disseminated in the public community. So when you're trying to do things on your own, you're going to get shaky results. But why try to do things on your own, and why try to do things by yourself when you got to deal with people anyways? So why not deal with the right people? Why not get the right information? Why not invest in your private education and a private system? Simple. Don't cherry pick. Not with the private. In the public, you can do that. You might not lose your whole shirt. In the private, listen, ladies and gentlemen, someone asked earlier in this episode, what's privacy? Privacy means without government. That means there's no government regulation. So when you come into the private and start asking private questions, or you ask right now questions about privacy, there's no regulation on it. You're just supposed to know. You want to know why you don't know? I'm going to share with you why you don't know. Because your family didn't tell you. Family law is private law. Your family was supposed to know this information. This information is passed along through families. And guess what? Contracts are trust. Contract law is private. So family law and contract law are private. And that's why you don't know this information. Because your family hasn't been private. The community that the family is a part of is not private. So how would you know about how to deal with the contracts appropriately privately? That's the problem. And now it's up to you to break that generational curse. Go out and actually invest in your private education instead of just trying to get free information through public media. This is public media. That's it. I appreciate you all. I thank you all for all the questions. Feel free to share this with your friends and family. Feel free to make it a point to go through all of the content through the vault. That's free. And then you can prepare yourself for your private education. This is why I did this. So I thank you all for tuning in live. Joining Tia, Andre, everybody. Appreciate you all. I'll be on Facebook just posting some quick chats and things like that. But the YouTube is going to be here. I'm going to take everything, put it on iTunes. And we have a workshop coming up in February. If you want to get the email for that, it's going to be going out here within the next 24 to 48 hours. The email for the workshop is welcometothevault.com. Welcome to thevault.com. Welcome to thevault.com. Get on the email list and make it a point to get there. It's going to be in South Florida. We're making it a point to have trustees there. We're making it a point to have our wealth managers there. It's going to be it's every event we do is sell out. I can promise you that right now. And they're private workshops. There's nothing public about it. It's private. Okay, so I just want to thank you all for tuning in live. Feel free to get on the email list so you all can get that workshop email, and look forward to hearing from you all. Peace and blessings. Talk to you all soon. Thank you.